Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
As soon as I saw the Samadhi, I remembered the pastimes of Prabhupada just before he entered Samadhi, perhaps a few days before. I could have gone to Vrindavan because we heard that everybody was going, but I was under the... Thank you. I was under the conviction that because he's transcendental, he's not going to leave right away. So I didn't go to Vrindavan. But my determination was, if he is going to leave, then I want to be at the front lines at the moment when he leaves. So I spent a lot of time at the Los Angeles airport distributing books. Meanwhile, in Vrindavan, just a few days before Srila Prabhupada entered Samadhi, my Shiksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, along with some of his brahmacharis, went to visit Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada. So the few GBCs went to pick up Srila Gurudev in Mathura and bring him back to Vrindavan. And then when Gurudev arrived, Srila Prabhupada said, now Narayan Maharaj is here, now everything is all right. And they were talking back and forth about the wonderful change Prabhupada made in the world. And Prabhupada told him, a lot of this was in Bengali, and it was translated into English. And one Bengali word I know, which is bandara, which means monkeys. Prabhupada said, I brought so many monkeys, they know how to quarrel. I have trained them as far as possible according to their qualification. So he asked Srila Gurudev to train them further. And then he said, a few of Prabhupada's godbrothers came in, and he said, ask them to forgive me for my offenses, because sometimes I said that the Gaudiya Math does nothing. They only eat and sleep and ring bells. So Gurudev told them there was no offense. Sometimes acharyas have to do that according to the qualities of their disciples, and to keep the enthusiasm of your disciples so that they wouldn't be confused. Sometimes you had to do that, and nobody will take offense at that. And later on I asked Gurudev, what did you mean when you told Prabhupada that? And he explained, and why did you tell Prabhupada that you had to do that in order to save some of his disciples? So he explained that back in 1968, which I knew about at the time, one of his disciples, Rishikesh Prabhu, he went to Vrindavan, and he was somehow or other convinced to take reinitiation from one of Prabhupada's godbrothers who was not favorable to Prabhupada, nor was qualified to give initiation. And when Prabhupada found out about that, my godbrother Achyutananda was also there. He wrote to both of them to immediately leave that place and go and stay with Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, who gave them much, much love and Hari Katha. And then when he got ill, he instructed Achyutananda to go to Srila Bhakti Dvait Madhav Goswami Maharaj, who is the spiritual master of Srila Bhakti Ballabh Tirtha Goswami Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj. And in those places, Achyutananda became very much trained up in traditional ways of Bengali kirtan, bhajan, and playing mridanga. And then a couple of years later, he came back to America and trained up everybody in how to do that. And he was also the one who wrote the first ISKCON Acharya's songbook. And Prabhupada wrote a very wonderful introduction to that. What a great service this is that he's done. And how I'm giving all my blessings to him for doing this. And he also made a cassette tape of all the Bengali, not all, but many of the Bengali tunes, and the devotees in ISKCON learned from that. So it was because of incidences like that, and because a lot of us who were newcomers, we wouldn't have known how to discriminate between the favorable and unfavorable. So at that time, Prabhupada just made carte blanche statements, knowing that later on, those who would be able to discriminate, and who, especially after Prabhupada's departure, would be able to receive the instructions that Prabhupada wanted them to receive after his departure. We came to Srila Gurudev, and Prabhupada told him, take care of my disciples and polish them further. So then, also, Srila Gurudev explained that some people get enthusiastic when we think that we're the only ones doing something. And so we feel like the heroes and the heroines. And so Prabhupada wanted us to be enthusiastic. So he said, oh, none of my godbrothers helped me. I wrote them letters, nobody helped me. Whereas actually, some, including Gurudev, helped greatly. But we weren't qualified to know about Gurudev at the time. It wasn't our time. And in fact, in 1968, in October, when Prabhupada's beloved godbrother, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, left the world, Prabhupada gave a whole lecture about him in Seattle, Washington. And then there were like 3 or 4 temples at that time. And I was in New York, Prabhupada was in Seattle, and he had all of his disciples sign condolence cards. And Prabhupada said, so we, the disciples of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, who is the Acharya President of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, he's expressing his bereavement on the loss of his godbrother, and we're all signing. So he told Govinda Dasi, you have the pencil, and you could hear the names of the signees. So then he wrote to Gurudev at that time that if you have a photo of him and you can send me that photo, then I will have my artists do a big portrait of him for our ISKCON temples. But again, it wasn't our time to be connected. We weren't ready. We had to get all those other teachings first and Prabhupada's books first, so we'd have the good platform to understand later on. And then later on we see that our Param Gurudev's portrait and Prabhupada's portrait are all over the world together now, aren't they? In thousands of homes and temples all over the world. So everything has its time. When Srila Gurudev was there, Prabhupada indicated that just as Srila Gurudev sang Sri Rupa Manjari Pada for his Gurudev, so Prabhupada indicated that he wanted to hear Sri Rupa Manjari Pada. So then Gurudev told Sheshashayi, his brahmachari, he said this in Hindi, but it was translated into English. Chant this very slowly into Maharaj, meaning Prabhupada's ear. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, say more Sampada, say more Bhajana Pujana. Then he said, Rupa Manjari is our everything. And then Sheshasai began singing it really beautifully and heartfelt. And after that, he sang the Hare Krishna mantra. And then Srila Gurudev sang Hari Hari Kabe More Say Dina Habe. Huh? Hoi Be Sudin. Hari Hari Kabe More Hoi Be Sudin. Thank you. Which is Srila Narottam Das Thakur's praying that when will, in great ecstasy, I can sing in the presence of Radha and Govinda and the Sakis, accompanied by beautiful musical instruments, with my body raining tears, and then praying in that song to the 6 Goswamis, and then to Lalita and Vishaka and all the Sakis, and then to the Sakas, those in Sakyabhav, that please all of you give your mercy to me. So Gurudev sang that song in the most ecstatically beautiful way, very softly, very clearly, carefully. And then he sang Jaya Gurudev, and all the devotees were responding, and then Jaya Prabhupada. Did you ever hear Gurudev sing that at that time? Have you heard the recording of that? So that's at that time. And you must have it on your applications.
Haven't seen, but I've heard the.
So then, after Prabhupada left his body, then Srila Gurudev came back and took over the whole thing, because we were all rather new. And he had already performed the Samadhi ceremony and Viraha Mahotsav for his Guru Maharaj. So he sang Jayani Lo Premadana, which you must have also heard, at the end of which he sang Swami Bhaktivedanta Svami Bhaktivedanta Svami Bhaktivedanta. And he instructed the devotees to put Prabhupada on the Vyasasana, and then to have him there on the Vyasasana all night. And then they all chanted all night. And then Gurudev led the devotees on the procession. You must have seen. He bathed Prabhupada, and he dressed Prabhupada, and put him on the palanquin, and told the devotees how to do everything, and then led him and the devotees to all the different temples. So then Gurudev told them how to make the Samadhi pit, and then he went in there with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, a few others. He was directing everything. The arti, the painting with tilak of the Gopi Samadhi mantras on Prabhupada's chest, and then instructing the devotees about putting the salt on, and then putting the sand on, and then putting the flag on, like after the mound was made, putting a flag and then filling up the rest with sand, so the flag was standing above the ground, so they would know exactly where Srila Prabhupada's divine body was placed, and then so much kirtan, and then gradually the Samadhi Mandir was built.